Welcome to the Keep the Faith podcast. I am your host, Tori. And of course, I'm so excited for today's guest. I have our next governor, Miss Mia Mcleod. I'm just going to put that out there. And
Yes.
I'm actually going to read Mia's bio before we get started today. And also, I want to inform everyone. I want to be respectful of Mia's time. She has another obligation. At 6 p.m. So we're doing 30 minutes, and some of the comments we'll try to touch some of the comments, but if not, we'll go back and watch the comments later. But let me read her bio. Senator Mia Mcleod hails from Bennettsville, South Carolina, where her family has owned and operated a small business for over 100 years. Her small town roots have kept her in tune with the needs and challenges of working families and businesses across South Carolina. A diverse and unique perspective that connects her with everyday people from all walks of life. She's running for governor to build a more equitable and inclusive South Carolina that is full of opportunity, a place her two young adult sons and other young South Carolinians can be proud to call home. Mia is pro-business and pro-worker, fighting to ensure that the hardworking people of South Carolina earn living wages of at least $15 an hour. She has shown courage and leadership in and outside of government. With 19 years as an entrepreneur and CEO of her own company, Mia has also served as a college educator, the state's top victim advocate, and has a distinguished record of serving the people of South Carolina in the legislative and executive branches on both sides of the aisle. With 12 years in the state legislature, Mia is a fierce advocate for jobs, economic and workforce development, fully and equitably funded public education, Medicaid expansion, women's reproductive rights, higher wages, pay and gender equity, radical justice, safer highways, broadband access, marijuana legalization and decriminalization, infrastructure improvements, and other systematic reforms that will help strengthen our citizens and communities. And she knows how to win. Mia has won every election she has ever ran. 5 consecutive elections to the state of South Carolina House. Wait a minute, state 5 consecutive elections to the South Carolina House and Senate. Even when Republicans targeted her swing districts and spent big money to defeat her. In 2020, she won her reelection to the Senate by 24 points against a moderate Republican with deep pockets and significant name recognition. The same year, she outperformed Biden by 18 points in her Senate district. Mia knows how to bring people together to get things done. Her groundbreaking legislation has garnered national attention and includes the Viagra Bill, Pro-Birth Accountability Act, and Disturbing Schools Bill. She is a Liberty Fellow, South Carolina Education Policy Fellow, and member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Her pride and joy are her sons, BJ and Cam. So welcome, Mia, to the Keep the Faith podcast. And
Thank you, Tori.
I basically want to tell you, I had such a pleasure. The meet and greet was phenomenal. And one thing I
Yes.
can say about you, like, you are a very humble person, very friendly, and your spirit is just beautiful. So that's what I will say I love about you. And I'm glad because a lot of times we vote early and sometimes we don't know who we're voting for. So I'm glad I decided to wait and decided to come out and meet the candidate, because it's very important that we know the candidates, and it's very important for people to get to know who you are, because I did not even know you were running until recently.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I am so excited. So basically, I'm going to go through some of the, well, basically, people are saying hello. But like I said, guys, I want to be respectful of Mia's time because she has another obligation at 6 p.m. So, Mia, the floor is yours.
Yes.
Like I said, I'm already saying that you are the next governor of the state.
Yes. We're
I'll put
claiming
that out
it,
there.
Tori. We are claiming it.
And also,
Absolutely.
I want to say this: when you did the meet and greet on Friday, this past Friday, two things that stuck out to me that really touched my heart was the fact that you have sickle cell, and you also stated that you are a sexual assault survivor. And I myself am a survivor. I was molested at 7, raped at 19, and sexually assaulted at 41. So that really touched my heart. And I think it makes a difference when we elect candidates that know exactly what we are going through. And you
That's
have a
right.
proven track record. So
That's
I'm
right.
just so excited. But I'm going to give you the floor and you basically tell everyone what exactly you're going to do once you become governor of South Carolina.
Thank you, Tori. You have no idea how much it means to me to be a part of your show today. I so enjoyed meeting you on Friday, and I'm grateful that you decided to allow me to introduce myself to your viewers. I was born and raised in Bennettsville, South Carolina, and I appreciate my small town roots, my rural community, my village. They have helped shape who I am today, and I'm super proud of that. My mom was a public school teacher. My dad was a small business owner, and my family has been in business in Bennettsville for 108 years. And we're still in business today. And so, I know what it takes to uh, help businesses run smoothly. It takes balance. And right now, and for decades, we've been out of balance. We have poured into employers and businesses, and had Republican governors and legislators who only are concerned about the business side of business. But that's so wrong. I mean, and it's counterproductive to who we are and what we say we're about. Because last time I checked, sick people don't work and dead people don't either. And so it is incumbent upon us as elected officials to make sure that people are in a position to thrive. I just believe you shouldn't have to know somebody to be somebody who matters in this state. South Carolina can and should be a place where all of us can thrive. And that is possible. And one of the big reasons I'm running is because I have two young adult sons that I love more than anything. And they don't want to live in South Carolina as adults. And it made me think about the fact that so many of my classmates left our state for the same reasons, in search of higher pay and equal opportunity and a better quality of life, when we can and should have that right here. And so I'm committed to that. And some of the highlights, we're so close to this June 14th primary. I want to tell your viewers what some of the big differences are between me and my opponents in this primary. One of the big differences is I not only support and have been fighting for a living wage of $15 an hour, at least $15 an hour. I've introduced legislation to raise it. I've introduced legislation to pay people who are unemployed through no fault of their own, as over 1 million South Carolinians were during the height of the pandemic, when I discovered that South Carolinians were only able to get $42 a week to $326 a week in unemployment. Obviously, you can't live on either of those. And the sad reality is that the Republicans who are making those kinds of laws and policies have never had to live on $7.25 an hour or $42 a week or $326 a week. If they had, the rates would be much higher. I can assure you that. So, prioritizing working people is a huge part of my platform, because I believe that economic opportunities are going to be the drivers for keeping our best and brightest young people right here. That and fully and equitably funding public education. When I go home to my hometown, as I did on Friday for a funeral, it makes me sad to see so many things in the same condition that they were when I left. And to see my people there not thriving, so many of them, too many of them. And those are things that we can change, but we have to focus on our rural communities and make sure that everybody has equal opportunity. You mentioned that I have been open about the fact that I live with sickle cell anemia. And because of that, I know all too well what it feels like to not be able to afford health insurance. When I started my own company in 2003, my health insurance premium every month was higher than my mortgage. And I was newly divorced. My sons were much younger. And there were so many months when I had to just pray that nothing crazy happened, because I could not afford health insurance. And that is the struggle of too many South Carolinians today. And yet we have a Republican majority who call themselves pro life and care nothing about the living. So, I am constantly exposing their hypocrisy, but can't stop there. I have to fight for what I know South Carolinians need, want, and deserve, and that is to expand Medicaid on day one because I can as governor. That will make sure that over 100,000 South Carolinians have access to quality, affordable health care. We had a hospital in Bennettsville when I was growing up, thank God, but we don't have a hospital there anymore. And I still have family there. We still have a business there. And so I want to make sure that I expand Medicaid so that we can reopen that hospital and we can reopen other rural hospitals and bring healthcare professionals back to South Carolina, bring teachers back to South Carolina. It's all connected. And so, because we have given teachers nothing, we've given our young people nothing, we've given our healthcare professionals nothing. We're sending working people back to unsafe workplaces, knowing that they are having to work 2 and 3 jobs just to make ends meet, not providing any COVID-19 protections whatsoever, not publicizing the numbers anymore. So to make people think that the virus is over and we're done with that, we are not. We are not done with that. COVID-19 is wreaking havoc on our state as we speak. People are still testing positive, they're still dying. And just because they're not showing us the numbers doesn't mean that people aren't still struggling. And so I want to make sure people know that until I am governor, they have to do everything they can to protect themselves because their government uh, uh, officials, can't call them leaders, are doing nothing to protect them. When I think about public education, expanding Medicaid, living wages, I think about guns and gun violence and the just the drastic rise in gun violence that we've seen across the country, but also here in South Carolina. Almost every day we turn on the TV and there are multiple murders, some mass murders, and it is the Republicans are doing nothing about that because they want to desensitize people to it. You see it on TV. You see what happened at Tops grocery store in Buffalo, New York. You see what happened at Uvalde, in Uvalde, Texas, with our precious babies. I mean, because they were brown babies, law enforcement wouldn't even go inside the classrooms, and they were armed. And so, their response is, "Oh, let's arm teachers, and so let's just have the Wild West shootout around our kids while they are in class." I mean, it just makes no sense. And when we know that there are common sense gun reforms that we can put in place to stop all of this gun violence. One is to expand background checks. Another is to require every legal gun owner to carry liability insurance on their guns. Another is to enhance penalties for those who possess and use guns illegally. And there's no shortage of things. I mean, I don't think that assault weapons have any place in our society. They are weapons of war. AR-15 should not be sold to any civilians. We should ban that. We should raise the age for being able to purchase a gun. I'm just floored by the fact that we have loosened all of those restrictions at a time when we need to be more gun cautious, have more gun sense, and just have common sense policies and laws in place. When I see our young people going to jail for simple possession of marijuana, and I know that marijuana is a safer, effective alternative to opioids. South Carolina has one of the highest opioid addiction and death rates in the country, but we're doing nothing about that. The Republicans are doing nothing about that. Meanwhile, they want to lock every person up who uses marijuana, whether it's for recreational purposes or for medicinal purposes. And I don't, I see what they're doing because they don't call it prison industries in the state for nothing. They are building their industries. They build more prisons in South Carolina than they do schools, because the statistics show that that's where our children are headed because of our minimally adequate public education system and all of it. I mean, everything that they are doing is not by chance. It is intentional, and it is designed to keep us in places of poverty in the state. It is designed, the system is designed to make sure there is a clear dividing line between the haves and the have-nots in this state. And we have to change that. And we have to have to change it now. If we don't change it now, we will, if we were to have 4 more years of Henry McMaster, we won't, because I'm in this race to win it. And I know that the people of South Carolina are with me in wanting to defeat Henry McMaster in November. But before we can defeat him, we've got to defeat our opponents in this primary. And so we're focused on that goal. That is 9 days away. And we got to make sure that South Carolina is safe. It is a place where all of us can thrive. And the way to do that is to strengthen our workforce development policies and initiatives. We have high paying jobs right here in South Carolina, but the Republicans are bringing people in from out of state to fill those jobs. And the reason is because not enough South Carolinians have the skill sets to compete for the high paying jobs we do have right here, because of our minimally adequate public education system, because we are allowing the Republicans right now to defund public education as we know it, to send our tax dollars to private schools, to people and families who don't need help sending their kids to school to get a good education. So there's no shortage of issues when it comes to women's rights and reproductive freedoms. You know, I tell everybody I'm not pro abortion. I'm just anti hypocrisy. And all I've seen from the Republicans is hypocrisy. They say they call themselves pro life, but they care nothing about the living. And so they want to force women and girls to have babies that the state will throw up its hands and say, hey, I just want you to have the baby. I don't want to help you take care of the baby. I don't care what happens to the baby once the baby gets here. So it's not like, these are people who call themselves pro-life on Tuesdays, and they are literally pro-death on Wednesdays, fighting for to not allow women and girls to have abortions on Tuesdays. And on Wednesdays, they're fighting to kill every incarcerated person on death row, whether they're innocent or not. It doesn't matter to them. They don't want to even wait that long. We were not in a position to get lethal injection drugs, and so they passed a bill that would allow them to shoot every person on death row by firing squad. And so we are going back in time to a barbaric place, a place that is, only those are the days that I only heard about through my parents and my grandparents. That is what the civil rights movement looked like, and that's what it feels like even today. And so we're just at a critical time, and it's important for us to do something different this year. We have a real opportunity. I'm not like any other candidate who's ever run for the office, and I'm not saying that because I'm the first Black woman to ever run for governor of our state. I'm saying that because I represent true change. I am the one who has been fighting the good old boys and gals for the 6 years I served in the South Carolina House, and the 6 years I've been serving in the South Carolina Senate. And we can change this state. As you read in my bio, I know how to win. And I know that the Republicans are going to come from me at a much stronger, faster pace and a much higher level now that I'm running statewide, because they know that I have a connection to real people, everyday people across South Carolina. And that is a threat to them. That is a threat to their power. And these people are in it for themselves. We've got to change them. And in order to change them, we've got to change the way we do things. They expect for us not to vote in this primary. And all of the information that you'll see on the news and hear about says, oh, Democrats are done. Biden's in office. They can never win. That's what the midterm elections always look like. Don't even bother to vote. And if we believe them, and we stay home and we don't vote, then we will continue to get what we've always gotten, their knees on our necks. And if that is what you want, then I would encourage you not to vote. But if you want change, if you want real change to come to South Carolina, and you want a real opportunity to thrive in this state, and to have a voice in your government, and to have a government that looks like you, that understands your struggles and understands the challenges that you face on a daily basis, then I would encourage you to go and vote early if you can, in person if you can, and vote for me, because I am not afraid of the status quo. I've been fighting these guys and gals the entire time I've been serving, but I can't do it by myself. We need a leader who has the courage to speak up, because if I don't speak up, you don't have a voice. And so I understand why God has me in this space. And I have a big voice now in the Senate. I'm not afraid to use it. And I'll have an even bigger voice as your governor, and I won't be afraid to use it. So, with that, I want to leave some time for your questions. So,
Okay.
thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome. I didn't want to interrupt. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go through some of the comments. And like you guys, like I told you guys earlier, I want to be respectful of Mia time. So I'm gonna go through a few comments. If I don't see your comment, I do apologize in advance. She has another engagement to head to at 6 p.m. So I want to be respectful. And I'm gonna just show some comments that you can read.
Yes, yes, we definitely want our voices heard. I know you do. And I want your voices to be heard. I mean, it's past time and we can change the state, but we have to vote. And it's not just important for us to vote, it's important
Hmm.
for us to galvanize and get everybody we know who is registered to vote. And those who are not registered, it's okay. Just make sure that
Hmm.
they are registered by November, but we won't get to November if we don't kick some butt in June. And we got to kick some butt this election, this primary election, so that we can kick Henry McMaster's butt in November.
Right. And I was trying to find, there was a comment I saw earlier. Let's see, I think this was it. By you not being a good old boy, do you expect a fair and clean race, even if it's a primary race?
I've never had a fair and clean race. Okay. So, no, the answer is no. But it's not about what I expect. It's not even about what they try, because try as they might, I am here to tell you, I've won 5 consecutive elections in swing districts when the Republicans spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to keep me out of the seat, and spent so much on negative mail and negative TV ads, saying that I was the worst thing. Then one lady came to one of my community meet and greets, and she plopped a big stack of mail, negative mail with my face on it, saying I was horrible, I was this, I was that, I was going to do stuff to set people in South Carolina back, or in Senate District 22 back.
Wow.
And the people of Senate District 22 didn't know me at that time. This lady came into my meet and greets, plopped that stack of negative mail down. She said, I got this just this week, baby. She said, and I just had to come and see you for myself, because can't nobody be this bad. And before everybody left my meet and greets, and these were, we had multiple, they all gave me hugs and told me that they would definitely vote for me, and they did. And they have voted for me every day, every election since. Those are the reasons that I know that, try as they might, they can't stop God. And what God has for us is for us. And so, He knows my heart, and He knows that I have a heart for people and a heart for public service. And I have to believe that He is going to continue to propel me forward because of that. So let them try. They tried 5 times. It ain't worked for them yet. So we're going to keep moving, keep praying, keep moving forward in faith. And we're going to win this primary and the general. How about that?
Yeah.
let's
That's a
let's
great,
work on that.
that was a great question. Tanisha says this
Yeah,
earlier
it is
when
a
I
great
read the
question.
bio. She says, "Fantastic. Sounds like Mia has done some amazing things. Keep up the good work."
Thank
And
you.
then
Thank
Charlene
you.
says, "Good evening, lady." And Charlene is actually a sorority sister of yours.
Yay! Hello, Sarah, Charlene.
And let me see. I'm just going through some of the comments that it was greeting us in the beginning, but I didn't want to interrupt.
Okay.
So, and there's people that was let's see. And listen, you remember in the bio we're talking about the legalization of marijuana.
Yes. Yes.
So explain your views on that in
Yes, you
regards
did hear
to
marijuana. I see the comment. Yes. I personally believe, I've always been a champion of legalization and decriminalization. In fact, just last year, I think it was, I introduced a bill that the Republicans
Mhm.
haven't, of course, they haven't moved the bill, but I introduced a bill that would allow marijuana, the question of whether to legalize it, to be put on a
Mhm.
ballot referendum, to go before the people, because the people of South Carolina overwhelmingly want marijuana to be legalized. And I tried to enlighten my colleagues, because I have some Democratic colleagues who don't believe or agree that marijuana should be legalized. But here's why it should. There are a number of reasons why it should. One is the illegalization of marijuana. I discovered, because I do my own research. I don't be listening to what the Republicans try to throw out there, because they're all lies. But the illegalization of marijuana is grounded and rooted in racism. Uh, there was a guy who launched a whole campaign that was based on racism. He was racist, and when brown people came to the United States and were smoking marijuana, he launched this whole fear campaign that was rooted in racism, and it just caught on, of course, because of the times, and it has kept going. Now that
Mhm.
some law enforcement communities have been politicized, just like this pandemic has been politicized by the Republicans. Well, some law enforcement communities well, all law enforcement at the state level was eerily silent when it came to open carry, right? And I got on the Senate floor and I talked about the fact that open carry means open season on people who look like us. They don't care about that though. So law enforcement said nothing. They said nothing, even knowing that innocent Black people are going to lose their lives because of open carry. Innocent law enforcement officers are going to lose their lives and be injured because of open carry. They don't care. And the reason they don't care is because they were very vocal about medical marijuana and not wanting it to pass, because they don't want us to take that tool out of their toolboxes. And the tool is the power to arrest. So everything is about money. It's about prison industries, because we know marijuana legalization here would do the same thing that is done in other states. It would be a tremendous economic boost to our state, and to our tax base and tax revenue, which we all need and want. But it would also be a much safer, much just as effective alternative to the opioids. And they say, oh, we're in an opioid crisis. No, you're not. You're in a crisis of not wanting to legalize the only remedy that is natural and safe, and just as effective as opioids, so that you can continue to file, and get all those federal dollars to fight an opioid crisis that you've created. So we just got to be smarter than that, and not rely on what they are telling us our issues are. I am for marijuana legalization and decriminalization. I think it's a crime to send our young people to prison and ruin their lives and livelihoods, their futures. And most of them are people of color, young men and women of color, for simple possession. And so, especially our young people, they are targeted and profiled for lots of things, but marijuana is at the top of that list. And so law enforcement at the state level wants to continue to be able to target and profile our young people and incarcerate them, because they would rather get the money on the back end and not have safe, productive citizens who are working and actively contributing to the economy, instead of being incarcerated and draining the economy from a jail cell. So I'm sorry, it's Sunday, and I know I'm doing a little preaching, but I just want y'all to know that um, I am not shouting to the rafters that I am in favor of legalizing and decriminalizing marijuana just because I'm running for governor. I've been shouting when I was in the House for 6 years, and since I've been in the Senate. Those are things that we can change in South Carolina, and it's time to bring our state into the 21st century.
Absolutely. And Victor also says, well, she got my vote.
June 14th, Victor, don't
Yeah.
forget,
And how long
because you
are
won't see
we
a lot of
able
hype
to?
about the race. I'm sorry.
How long is the early voting? Is that up until June the 10th? Is it?
10th. Early
Okay.
voting ends on June 10th. You don't need an
Okay.
excuse to vote early. You can vote early in person. I believe it is at the voter registration or elections office for each county. Some counties are different, so look it up before you go to vote. But yes, you can vote early up until June 10th, Monday through Friday, though. And I think the
Okay.
time is from like 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, something like that. So it's during normal business hours from Monday through Friday until June 10th, which is coming up this week. So Friday is the last day you can vote early. After Friday, you'll have to vote on June 14th for your vote to count
Okay.
in this election.
Okay, sounds good. Well, Mia, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I got my 30 minutes in, and I thank you for
Sure.
squeezing me in. And also, I want to
No.
encourage you guys. Listen, I want to encourage you guys to vote because a lot of times people do not realize how important the primaries are. A
That's
lot of
right.
people, because when I was younger, I was one of those people thinking my vote didn't count. I didn't think that the
That's
primaries
right.
counted. And then at the time when I was ignorant, did not know any better, I wasn't even voting for the president because I'm like, huh, what? I didn't think it was important. I was one of
Yeah.
those people when I was younger in college. I was one of those people. I will admit, I was one of those people. My vote don't count, but it really and
Yeah.
truly does. It makes a difference.
Yeah, and don't beat yourself up about that. There's so many of us who we just didn't know. And now that we know better, we got to do better. And so we got
Absolutely.
to help spread the word that everything we do at the state level impacts everything you do every single day. Whether it's the speed limit that you get to drive, or whether it's the taxes that you got to pay every time you go to the grocery store, every time you get gas, everything we do impacts everything you do. And when people know that, I think, they will probably be more engaged and more likely to really look at the candidates like, oh, okay, well, who's going to save me some money, or who's going to help me make some hot, some money?
Mhm.
Because it is, and this is not just something that the Republicans are known for, but Republicans and Democrats alike, I've discovered, give the public as little information as possible. And the reason that they do that is so that they can hold on to what they consider their seats. They aren't their seats. The seats that we're in belong to y'all. And you have the power to put us there and to remove us. And so we have to keep that in mind. And I'm speaking for myself too. I tell people all the time, hold me accountable. Don't just vote for me and then throw up your hands and say, hey, we got the sister in there. Now we can rest. No, you cannot rest. You can never rest. I can never rest. And you don't want your elected officials to become complacent. You don't want them to get settled in there and think, hey, I've been here for 20 years, 30 years. When I first served in the South Carolina House, I served with people who had been there almost as long as I had been living. And they were, I call them seat warmers. They were just there. They weren't, I never knew how they felt on any particular bill or anything. They just quietly moved about, never talked about their constituents, never really introduced bills to change anything. They were just
Mhm.
coasting. And people back home, I'm sure, were thinking, oh, I got so and so, I know so and they're in there fighting for me. No, they're in there fighting for them. And so you have to hold us accountable. That is the way the democratic process is supposed to work. And I hope, if you don't hear me say anything else today, that you will take that to heart and hold all of us accountable, whether you vote for us or not, because you have the power. It's just a matter of whether you use it or not. You can change any person who is in office with your vote. That is your voice. So you get to decide whether you use it, when you use it, how you use it, but don't waste it. Don't waste it. Don't waste it, please. I need help on the inside. I'm still serving in the South Carolina Senate while I'm running for governor. So, I'm representing the people of Senate District 22, but every time I vote, I'm voting for every person in this state because my vote impacts every person in this state. We are a body of 46 senators. I am only the third Black woman, to my knowledge, to ever serve in the South Carolina Senate, and only one of two who serve now simultaneously, and even that is historic. So when Senator Maggie Glover had that meet and greet for me on Friday, I mean, I was in awe of her when I worked as a page, when I worked in state government. And we have to understand that representation does matter. It does matter. I'd never seen anybody in that space and never thought I would be in this space. But I recognize now the power of just being able to envision that, just being able to visualize that, because I have young ladies now who look at me and say, how did you do that? How did you get there? Did you always know? And the answer is no. I had no desire to ever run for office. But I have to believe that God chose me to be in this space because I am not like um, the people I serve with. And for many years, I thought that I was the one who was out of place. Turns out that my pastor showed me and talked to me about the fact that no, you are in the right place. They are not doing what God put them there to do, and it's critical that we pay attention and that we make sure that the people who are in these spaces, we can have a lot of influence and a lot of power, but only if we harness it and only if we use it for good. It's like, if you have superpowers and you don't use them for good, you're really just wasting your superpower. And so I want to always make sure that I'm using my superpowers, even though they are limited being in the minority party. I'm not in the minority kingdom, though. The God that I serve has access to everything that I need to be successful and every resource, every opportunity. And so I want to make sure that I am doing right by his people. And you can help me do that and hold me accountable to that. So thanks again for having me, Tori. This is an
You're
important
welcome.
discussion, and I don't want to rush off. Um, if you guys have any questions that I wasn't able to answer today, please let our team know, and we will get you some answers. We'll get some answers back to you, and hopefully, I'll be invited back
Oh,
as the
absolutely.
Democratic
Absolutely.
nominee. Yes, I'm looking forward to that
Absolutely.
coming back, and we'll have much to celebrate and much work to do to get through
Okay.
November. So
And before
June
you leave, I'm
14th.
going to go June 14th. Make sure you guys vote. And I'm going to go through a couple more comments before you go.
Sure,
Kwana says,
sure.
awesome guest, Tori. Thank you, Tori.
Oh,
Charlene
thank
says,
you.
very well stated. We will see you Tuesday. Jamel says,
Thank
change the
you.
mindset of our people. And Victor,
Yes.
actually, Victor is one of the panelists that's going to be on the podcast that you're going to be on Tuesday. So he says he's looking forward to sit down with you on Tuesday on the T.
Okay.
So that's the Tangy Tea
Awesome.
podcast. Victor is one of the panelists
Awesome. I'm
on
looking
the
forward
pod.
to
So
it.
yes. So like I said earlier, you guys, I wanted to be respectful of Mia's time. So she needs those votes. So make sure
Yes.
you get out to vote. The early voting is up until June the 10th, and the
Yes.
Tuesday, the actual day of voting, is June the 14th. So make sure you exercise your right to vote. Now, if you don't vote, I don't want to hear you complaining. I don't want to hear it.
Right.
So make sure you guys
Me either,
exercise your right.
Tori. Yeah, we've
But
got a real, we've got a real opportunity to change the state. And if we change South Carolina, we can change the South. And that's what's so exciting. I mean, Georgia is on the verge of doing it. Imagine if South Carolina does it too. Just
right,
imagine the
right,
changes. And we can't change everything overnight. Everything overnight is not going to change. But imagine having a governor who cares, who shares your struggles and the challenges that you face, who knows what it feels like to be marginalized and to be discriminated against, who has sons who represent the very demographic that these Republicans have targeted for years to bring our young Black men down, and to incarcerate them, to make them so that they don't have an opportunity to contribute to a better, stronger South Carolina, because they are so concerned that South Carolina will look more like us than it does them. So there's so many things that are just pervasive when it comes to race in this state, when it comes to gender, and when it comes to the fights that all of us are fighting. It's just that we have to learn how to fight those fights together and win. Because when we do that together, we will win. And that's what scares them most. That's why they don't want you to vote. That's why they're always talking about, oh, Black people don't vote, teachers don't vote, all the marginalized demographics are the ones that they want to keep reiterating so that you will think, hey, yeah, why should I? Why? That's what my sons were saying. Why should I vote? My vote doesn't matter, mom. Nobody cares about what we think. Nobody's speaking for us. Nobody's doing this or speaking to us. And that has to change, but we have to change it. And so, we've got to do things differently this year. I say all the time, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. If we don't vote this year in this primary and in the general, don't be mad on November the 9th, when you got 4 more years of Henry McMaster, and he is the longest he will be at that time the longest serving governor South Carolina has ever had in the history of our state, because Donald Trump gave him his first 2 years by moving Nikki Haley out of the way and making sure that he got the office that he wanted, since he was Trump's first and biggest supporter, the first governor to endorse him, Trump, and he got crowned governor. He didn't earn it. He's been running for office since 1980, I think I read. I was somewhere in Bennettsville, in the public schools of Bennettsville, South Carolina, when he first got elected. This man has been serving longer than some of us have been living. And what does he have to show for it? I'm sorry, what do we have to show for it? That is the question that you
Right.
have to ask yourselves. Yeah, we've got nothing to show for it. And 4 more years will be more of that, more nothing. Okay. A state of nothingness is what we will be, but it's a scary place to be because so much is at stake. I want my sons to want to live here, and I want to create a state that they want to live in and can be proud of. And I know y'all want that for yourselves and your children too. So we got to fight for each other, and we got to fight for justice for all. We got to fight for economic opportunities for all. And I'm confident that we can do that. The question is, will we? So I will see y'all at the polls
And I'm going to show
on
you this
June.
last comment before I let you go. You got to see this
Sure.
comment. You see that comment? I normally
Oh
don't
my
vote in the primary,
goodness.
but Mia has made me
Tanisha,
reconsider.
thank you. Please. Thank you. I so appreciate that. I had a lady at church today tell me the very same thing. And it's because we aren't having these conversations with the people who can help make those changes. So I get you. I totally get where you are, Tanisha. And I would be so proud to have earned your vote on June 10th or June 9th or June 8th or June 7th or June 6th or June 14th. You got all those days that you can cast your vote, and I hope and pray you will.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, Mia, I don't want to take too much more of your time. Thank you guys for
Thank
watching. And I'm
you.
actually and I'm actually going to re-air this podcast as well. I'm going to re-air it as well.
Good.
So, and
Yes.
Tanisha said, "You got it. You got it, ma'am."
Thank you, Tanisha. Thank
And
you.
Garnett says, "Count me in."
Garnett, thank you. Thank you. I
And
can't thank you
Charlene says,
enough.
"Thank you as well." So,
Thank you, Charlene.
and
Yeah,
so I
we
want
we
to
got to
thank
be that change. Let's not
absolutely,
waste it.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So make sure you and this is my pastor right here. He says we are
Thank
praying for you.
you. I need that more than anything. I need prayer more than anything for me and my family, because these people are crazy. Y'all know they are crazy. And so I have to put on the full armor of God every day. And I do that. I have memorized Psalm 91, the entire psalm, because I take it with me
Oh
every day.
wow!
Yes, it is my favorite
Listen,
psalm, and I
listen.
take
That's
it with
our.
me
That's
every day.
our. You just don't know how that made me feel. We recite Psalm 91 every single Sunday.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Listen, look.
Yes. Thank
We re-
you, Kelsey. Thank you.
we
Yeah.
recite Psalms 91 every single Sunday.
I love it. I love it. And it is so, y'all have no idea the things that God has brought me through. And when you face the kind of adversity that I have faced,
Hmm.
um, there's just nothing. I have no reason to fear
Hmm.
anything that man can do, because he has shown me that he's got me every day. And that is scary to a lot of these folks who aren't people of faith, who hold themselves out to be people of faith, but are anything but. They are wolves in sheep's clothing. And so we have to be mindful of the rhetoric and the messaging that we allow ourselves to consume, because it can be counterproductive to who we
Mhm.
are and to
Mhm.
what we say we want. It will cause you to say, you know what? It doesn't even matter. South Carolina is always going to be the same. We're never going to change the state. We're never going to do anything differently. And that will be a self-fulfilling prophecy if we don't do things differently and vote and make sure that we demand the change. We're not asking. We're not begging. We're not groveling for change anymore in this state. We have to rise up and say, no, I'm not taking what you're dishing out anymore. No more. We
Absolutely.
need to get rid of you. You need to go. And that is for, sadly, that is for Republicans and Democrats alike who aren't doing of the people. And there are some Democrats who aren't as well. And they also need to go. But that's another sermon for another day. Right now, we're going to focus on we're going to focus on this primary and being in position to kick Henry McMaster out of office in November. So
Okay.
I can't thank you guys enough for having me today. And I always enjoy my time with my people. And that
Absolutely.
is, yeah, these are conversations that we need to have more of. So I'm
Okay.
grateful for the opportunity. Thank you so much, Tori.
You're more than welcome. And thank you guys for watching. Make sure you share the podcast. And like I said, I'm going to re-air it as well for those that may have missed it. But Mia, thank you so much for your time. Thank
No
you so much for
problem.
squeezing me in. And thank you for just having, listen, you have such a beautiful spirit. Like,
Thank
I'm
you.
so grateful that I've had the pleasure of meeting you in person.
Thank
You
you.
are amazing. So
Thank
I'm
you.
definitely gonna have you back when we do the victory party when you are as
Yes.
governor.
I'm gonna need all of y'all at the victory celebration. If we gotta do one virtually, we'll do that too. But hey, we're gonna celebrate. We are going to celebrate this victory. Because it's
Right.
ours. It's not mine, it's ours and it's his. So let's do this. Okay.
Okay. Well,
All
thank
right.
you guys for watching. And Miss Mia, hang on just a second. Thank you
Sure.
guys for watching and make sure you guys share the podcast. And Miss Pastor Kelson and Angela says we'll be in expectation.
Absolutely. Absolutely, we are.
Well,
Yes, thank you.
thank you guys for watching. And like I always say at the end of at the end of the podcast, you may bend, but don't you dare break. And always remember in everything that you go through in life, always remember to keep the faith. And we'll talk to you
That's
soon.
right.
Bye.
Bye.